This is what the highest level of appointment booking looks like, and I'm going to show you exactly how I manage the strategy that's consistently getting me around 5 to 6 qualified appointments every single day on complete autopilot, okay? So, what I do with my day, and I'm just going to give you an example. The only thing that I actually do is just manage the Instagram outbound system, take calls, and obviously deliver amazing results for my clients. So, how do I actually manage this thing? How do I run it? How do I consistently get over 100 appointments every single month using multiple different strategies month over month, okay? So at the end of the day, this all comes down to numbers, right? Now, what I want you to think about when you're trying to build a system like this, where you can consistently get like 1% of people to actually schedule calls with you, and you know for certain, right, that you can actually send all these messages automatically, that you have a system that's automatically able to get you all these calls, right, to the point where you can send 600 DMs every single day and you can get all these calls on your calendar, okay? The way, right, that this actually runs, the way that this actually works, right, is just a matter of inputs and outputs, okay? So there's three things that you have to keep in mind, right? You need something to convert, right? I want you to think of a system as a way to convert an input into an output, okay? So let's say you have people in your niche, right? People that you find, we'll use the Instagram example, people that you find on Instagram who are a fit for your business. These are the inputs, okay? These are the people that you're going to be putting into your system. So to be able to get these inputs, you need a lead sourcing strategy that's able to automatically get you these appointments, right? There's different Chrome extensions, different automatic softwares you can use to actually get these leads automatically. Then you have the outputs that come after the system, right? Which is a booked appointment onto your calendar, as you can see right here, all these little blue things, right? And then there's the system in between, right? The system in between needs to be a predictable way to convert inputs into outputs, okay? It needs to convert raw people in your niche into people who have actually scheduled a call. And there is a linear series of events that must take place in order for that to happen. Now, a lot of the times, what people do, and this is why they stay stuck at like 5, 10K per month, is because they don't have a way to scale these systems, okay? So a lot of the time, it's because it's hinged on their time. So let's say, for example, cold calling system, right? If you're getting phone numbers from your niche, your goal is to convert them into appointments, and the system you use to get those people in your niche into appointments is you picking up the phone and calling people. There's two issues with that. Number one is the system only functions if you are spending your time, okay? Which is a finite resource that can't be scaled past a certain level, okay? If you're cold calling for 8 hours a day, you can't scale that system unless you can hire other people, but that's a lot more difficult than having an automation do it, right? And the second thing is every single conversation is going to go slightly different, right? So with things like emails and with things like DMs, there's only like a certain amount of variation that you can have between conversation. There are going to be certain responses that you get way more frequently than others, right? With cold calling, conversations can go wildly different because there's a lot going on inside at the moment, okay? So what this means is in order to have something that's predictable, right, you need to be doing the same thing every time. If you're doing something different every time, it's not going to be predictable, right? One month you might get 5 appointments, the next month you might get 20, the next month you might get 1 because it's different every time. So you need to have the same thing every single time, right? And that's what's going to give you that predictability because a certain percentage of people are going to be responding positively to that and actually scheduling a call. So that means that you need to have a script that converts. Now, how do you build a script that converts, okay? This is where it comes down to looking at the numbers. So as you can see here, these are all of the 24 Instagram accounts that I use to send right now, and then I have a few being warmed up to be able to replace if any of these start going to spam, okay? So I have like some safety nets, right? Now, if we look at our overall metric tracker, right, we can see that 0.8% of people are actually scheduling a call, 1.7% of people are requesting for a calendar, 5.9% of people are positively replying, and 6.8% of people are replying. Now, our goal, right, this is a baseline script, okay? So our goal is to iterate this script over time and make slight changes to it, right, to improve this number here. This is the keystone number that we want to improve, which is the appointment booking rate, okay? So the way that we do this is, let's say we have a baseline script process, okay? The way that I run things is I send one message asking a question. If they respond positively to that question, we send them a pitch. If they're interested in the pitch, then we send them a calendar link, right? and then from that calendar link, then they can book a call. Okay, so those are the 4 steps of the process. We want to optimize every single step of the process. Okay, so let's say, for example, right, in this set of data, we can see that our positive reply rate is 5.9%, which is good. Okay, the calendar send rate is 1.77%, right? Which means 30% of people who we send the pitch to want to book a call, okay? Now, we can see here that only 46% of the people who actually request to book a call actually book the call, okay? Now, what we do with that information is we can see that this is most likely going to be the thing that can be optimized the most, right? The most improvement. This number could realistically be 75%, okay? So we have a lot of room for improvement. Like we can get this up to like even 1.2, which would increase the revenue of this channel by 50%, okay? So what we would do is we would look at the factors that impact this conversion rate here, okay? Those factors are the message that we send along with the calendar link that encourages them to schedule. It's the follow-up sequence after we send the calendar link. And those are really the 2 main things. And it's the speed at which we send them the calendar link after they request it, okay? So at this point, there's 3 things that I can do, okay? Number 1 is I can increase the amount of follow-ups, or I can change how the follow-ups are written. So what I've done recently is I've incorporated some AI into the actual follow-up sequence to make it more personalized, okay? So what we can do is we can send out a prompt into, there's this certain website we use called suno.ai, and what it does is it creates AI songs. When we submit a certain prompt into it, it's going to create a personalized song for the prospect we're following up with, and it basically asks them why they're ghosting us and not booking a call. And once we incorporated that, this metric here went up to about 60%, okay? So that's one of the things that we could have done there, okay? Another thing that we could have done, we could have increased the amount of follow-ups. So right now, we send about 7 after we send this calendar sent. We could have sent 10, we could increase it to 10 and see how this impacts this number, okay? If it positively impacts this number, then that's good. Then we made a good change, and then we move on to the next thing that we want to optimize, okay? If it negatively impacts this number, we go back to the 7 that we had before, okay? Which unlikely to happen, but it's possible, okay? Now, what we could also do is we could also change the messaging that we use along with the calendar, right? So what I used to do is when someone would ask for calendar, I would say, awesome, great to hear you're looking to grow. I'm sending you a calendar link here, okay? Now, what we changed is we sent a voice note instead of that message, okay? And what we can do is if you upload an M4A file to Instagram, what it actually does is you can send a pre-recorded voice note inside of the platform, okay? So as soon as we incorporated that and I said the exact same message along with that calendar link, again, this number also increased because it seemed more personalized when I was sending that calendar invite, right? So that's another big way that you can change these. So you can see, right? What you want to do is you want to analyze the key metrics that need improvement, and then you want to look what factors actually play a part in making that metric what it is, and then you make slight changes to those factors, right, one at a time scientifically, and you look at the result of those changes. If it's a positive result, you keep it, and then you iterate the next thing, okay? If it's a negative result, then you go back to what you had before, okay? And as the more that you do that, right, and if you do that month over month over month over month, your conversion rate is going to increase. Now, something that can happen, and this is an issue that I had recently that I needed to learn, is if you ignore this, okay? This is a very good system, booking at 0.8%. Like, I was happy with this because we were sending, like right now, we're sending about 650 messages a day. At this point, we were doing about 300 a day. So I'm like, well, I'll just let this thing run, and I'm not going to concern myself to it. Like, I'm not going to concern myself with it. We ran this system for about 2.5 months and made 0 changes to it. But here's the issue, is that stimuli or scripts incur entropy. And what that means is if you keep using, and this is, like, you have this with advertising too. If you use the exact same script every single month for a long enough time, it's eventually going to stop working. And what that means, right, is if you go into May, you can see this heavily dropped. This number heavily dropped. And then if you go into June, it dropped even more, okay? And only in June I realized, shit, my appointment booking rate has gone less than half, right? And then I realized that I needed to actually make these incremental changes. And then you can see here, right, in July, obviously, this number went up. It's just past July. So obviously some of these numbers are not going to be accounting for latency. So if you look at my most recent iteration, right, this actually accounts for the time that is elapsed. This is a more accurate number, is about 0.5%. And you can see, right, now we've been able to bump it up from these past dates. But if I hadn't realized and caught on to the fact that I needed to make changes to this thing again, it would have kept going down and down and down and down until it didn't even work anymore at all, right? So it's very, very important that you are constantly iterating and that you're constantly making changes, or the system will die, okay? And again, there's no like real like key to just like snapping your fingers and building a perfect script right off the bat. It's something that's going to take time to test and test and test and test. But once you have something that's fully automatic, right, that you can just, that you know the exact like scripts, you know the percentage of conversion, and the only thing that you have to do is increase or just make changes, like, and change the script slightly every couple of weeks and see if it improves, and keep iterating and iterating and iterating, it's only going to get better, right? And now that I've learned this lesson, I'm going to keep doing this, and I guarantee you by like the end of October, this number is going to be above 1%, and we're going to be booking over 10 calls a day from this Instagram system, okay? So with that being said, that's all I wanted to share, just some high-level appointment booking strategies. If you're interested, we have the entire system, the entire script, the entire automations, everything like that built out for you. So if you don't want to spend the months and months and months going through all this iteration and testing, you can just work with me and I'll give you what works already. And you can just plug and play it into your business and book this many appointments in your calendar every single week. Okay? So if you want that, click the first link in the description. If not, I'll see you in the next one.